About 30 seconds to go. We've got retail sales here this morning. Has the potential to move the markets for sure. This is the state of the consumer and is a very important print. With 20 seconds to go, guys, let's go ahead and roll our breaking news. Okay, I've got everything up on the screen for you. You've got the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, the Russell, gold, silver, dollar, and oil all on your screen right now with retail sales coming in here in just a few moments. Okay, retail sales, dollar is just very slightly higher. Retail sales, core retail sales came in at 0.1%, lower than anticipated, but retail sales came in higher than expected. Let's take a look at this. Core retail sales, what this is telling you here, core retail sales, which removes, I believe, automobiles, change in the total value of sales at the retail level, excluding automobiles. Automobiles are very volatile in terms of their sales. There's also a big seasonal thing, right? Like a box of cereal, my favorite thing to always talk about, is not seasonal. People eat cereal all the time. It's probably not good for you. My gosh, I had to stop eating cereal because my stomach was getting ginormous. Like cereal, oh my God, man, cereal is so good, but it's also so bad for you. Not that I know anything about health, but like, I just know maybe it's not bad for other people, but I know what it does to me. That stuff is so good that I eat so much of it, and then it's bad for me, even if it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like everything in moderation. But anyways, back on track here. Core retail sales came in lower than expected, so that's a bit of a weakness point. But then retail sales overall, month over month, which does include automobiles, right? So if the automobiles here is the difference, then that would suggest perhaps that automobile sales were up. Also called advanced retail sales. I didn't know that. Retail sales, change in the total value of sales at the retail level. So this number came in strong. This number came in low, but they revised the previous number up by quite a bit. So actually retail sales looking pretty strong overall. Dollars up off that. NAS, S&P, etc. still near fresh session lows. Oil's slightly lower. You got silver dancing around. Gold and silver, not going to love stronger retail sales numbers, but this is an important print. I really like keeping an eye on retail sales because it does give you an indication of the state of the consumer, right? And the consumer, this is an interesting reaction here. State of the consumer is good, or at least came out better than expected this morning. Why didn't the stock market jump? Well, it's a tricky one because retail sales, in one hand, you're like, okay, good retail sales, that's good for the stock market because companies are seeing retail spending, that's great. But then on the more difficult side, yesterday, Powell basically said we don't feel a rush to cut rates, and the market is looking at rate cuts like candy. Fed said no candy, and this figure today means still no candy. Silver and gold can't seem to catch a break. I was talking about this a moment ago. I'm looking for gold to keep going lower. If we get a much lower push, not as a momentum trade, but as a more value-centric trade, I do like the idea of picking up some gold somewhere under 2,500. That would be very interesting.
This was our best year yet at A1 Trading. In 2024, we brought the incredible Chris Pulver in and gave you guys access to all of his trades and analysis through Pulver Alerts. We also introduced our newest market scanner, the Stock Box, whose AI algorithm is scanning each and every day to provide you with bullish or bearish biases on the top stocks and stock sectors from around the world. Not only that, but the Stock Box gives you a behind-the-scene look at what the largest hedge funds in the world are buying and selling through the 13F scanner, so you can keep up with what people like Warren Buffett or Steve Cohen are adding to their portfolio. The best part of all, both of these products are on sale now for a massive 40% off off during our Black Friday sale event. The stock box, the edge finder, pulver alerts, and the VIP Discord community, as well as our trading view indicators, are all on sale for 40% off. This is the absolute best discount of the year, hands down. So if you want to take your trading to the next level, don't miss out on the 40% off Black Friday sale event. You can find out more with the link being dropped in the chat now. Again, 40% won't last forever, so take advantage of this huge sale. Stock box, edge finder, pulver alerts, VIP Discord community, and trading view indicators, 40% off right now.
Euro dollar here. This is another one. This thing is in free fall. I saw Forex James put a tweet out the other day just saying how he was pointing out, he's like, euro dollar, if you've had any reason or any sell trade in the last few weeks or actually even months, this thing has been such an easy trade. I so wish that I had caught this euro trade. Look at this. I was actually looking for the break and retest right here and missed this trade. This probably would have been, on the currency front, probably one of my best trades of the year, but didn't quite catch it. Euro dollar, I'm not super in love with the idea of shorting it down in these levels, but if you start to get a pullback, I might keep an eye on that one. Bitcoin's also up 2.7% here today. Are we going to see the rush to 100K pretty soon? I don't know, man. I've got my stop loss trailed on this one. I want to see 100K. I'd love it. I think the crypto crowd would be vindicated for all these years, and we'll see. I mean, I think for Bitcoin, if you're watching Bitcoin from a price action perspective, it's pretty obvious. We need to take out these highs. You take out those highs, though, I feel like there is a very solid chance that we're running up to 100K. It looked like we were going to go straight up, right? You had this big break through these highs, and we did make a good push. Made it up to what, 93? Yeah, 93,000 on Bitcoin. Then started pulling back, right? Came down to this support level. But this is really where I need to see price from just, my own rule set. I've got my higher low here. It's a bit of an ugly higher low. We're in this sort of bull flag looking thing. My rule to get out of Bitcoin, which I would be sad if this happened, would be if we fail out and we lose our steam here and we start selling through those lows, then that's going to be my signal to say, okay, Bitcoin, I'll catch you on another day. But for now, that's where I take profits. However, if we get the breakout, and it's looking like we might see another attempt here by the bulls today. We're up 2.9% on the day. You get a break through those highs, you get a closure. If you get a fresh close above those highs, this is just my opinion, as always, not financial advice. But if we get a close above, like if we get an all-time closing high today on Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised if the weekend is just a continued push like we saw last weekend. Because remember, Bitcoin does trade 24/7, and it actually never stops trading. It trades 24/7, 365 days a year. Well, last weekend, we saw this. Last weekend, on Sunday, we saw a big burst in energy in Bitcoin, pushing us up to 80,000 for the first time. Monday market opens up, and we just shot to 90. So purely price action momentum wise, I mean, I do like the fundamental story for Bitcoin. Believe it or not, I know people sometimes think I'm kidding when I say that, but I'm not kidding. The fundamentals for Bitcoin make a lot of short-term sense. Now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I have no idea. I am not a perma bull, buy Bitcoin, hold it forever kind of guy. I'm just not. I actually, for me, it's like purely just a trading vehicle based on risk on, risk off sentiment. Right now, fundamentally, we've got a lot of good things going for global economic outlook. There's the hopeful prospect of peace in the coming years. Let's hope that something good comes out of, some of these relationships that Trump seems to have with Putin. I saw he was speaking with the Prime Minister of India yesterday or recently, which is, of course, a long-term ally also of Russia. So hopefully there's some prospects for peace. Why does that matter? Well, peace means, just speaking mechanically for a second, it means oil prices don't spike giantly, and they can keep low oil prices. Low oil prices means low inflation. Low inflation means the Fed can cut rates. Fed cutting rates means economy gets a bit of a stimulus bump and stays strong. All of those things are good scenarios. It's weird how that, you can step from one thing to the next. But for me right now, the most likely scenario for Bitcoin is a continued move, a break above if we can close. And I think there's a good shot we see 100K. Now, if that doesn't happen and you watch this in a week from now and you're saying, Nick, you idiot, it completely dropped back down to 70 or 60,000 in a week, you moron, then that wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong in front of a YouTube audience. Like, I'm wrong, I'm very rarely I'm never always right? There's times where I'm wrong. But for me, what that means is I have this bullish outlook, but I'm not a diamond's hand kind of guy. So I'm not all in Bitcoin with no stop loss and just hoping for glory, right? I think we see 100K, but I don't know that. We could never see 100K in Bitcoin's history. Maybe this is the top for the next 5 years. We don't know. I never know, right? We don't know things for certain. We only can make educated guesses and appropriate managed risk setups, right? As long as we are on the same page, then we're good. A lot of times people hear YouTubers say, oh, I think it's going to go to 100K. And then 2 weeks later, when it doesn't go to 100K, they're like, but you said it was going to go to 100K, as if the YouTuber just knows what the market's going to do perfectly. I do not know what the market's ever going to do with certainty, ever. I only know how to make educated guesses and how to manage risk appropriately. So for me, managing risk is I have this position on Bitcoin. I know that if markets break structure here, that is my cue in my technical approach. That's my cue to get out of Bitcoin. I have this stop loss trailed into profit on my IBIT position. Here is the IBIT position. My stop loss is below this consolidation lows. I trade IBIT because I use a stock brokerage, and it's just so easy for me to trade Bitcoin through the ETF rather than try and do all the exchanges or ledgers and all that stuff. I don't do all that. I just buy the ETF IBIT if I want to trade it. I don't know if you heard me say this earlier, but on my Tesla position, we talked about this yesterday. I closed those calls. I probably closed them a little earlier. I closed them like right here. But if we do see price start to just like go crazy again on Tesla, I think I'd probably sell calls again, but like way up at like 420, 400 range. I don't know. This thing is in such a rocket ship mode, but I don't know how long it lasts. I mean, you're starting to see some pullbacks in the indices. The big post-election sort of bump that we saw cooling off here a little bit, I think that's pretty healthy, especially given what Powell said yesterday. Basically, we don't need to be in a rush to cut rates. I think that's honestly an okay message. I sort of agree with that. We don't need to be rushing if you got stocks in your all-time highs. Inflation is still relatively under control, and the labor market seems in a decent spot as well.
Yeah. I think it was good to sell those calls just because you never know. But I like the idea of, being long Tesla now. Selling those puts, you had those as well, right? Were you doing kind of a wheel strategy on Tesla?
Yeah, I had a multiple things going on at Tesla. So I basically sold puts. Those are going to expire. What's today? The 15th. On the 22nd, they're like way down here. So those are going to expire worthless, which is good when you're the put seller. And then I sold 290 calls, and I realized a loss on those, just so I could continue holding on to the shares for now.
Nice. I I want to kind of talk about Bitcoin again because I've been in a long-term options play on this.
Yeah, are we gonna see this thing keep going, Frank?
I hope so. I think I have a inclination that we are going to test the 100K range because I know it's a big psychological level. But anything can happen. I still think I'm just gonna say this now, so I can sound like a genius if it happens. That we'll hit 100K by January.
Mm.
And if so, I have this options play on BITO, which is a Bitcoin ETF. I took this way back in the summer though, I think price was in the high 20s. I had a 20 by 29. This is a 9-point move. I paid $1.80 for the spread. So it's $1.80 to make $7.20, which I think is a good deal for. I would say it's kind of a cheap options play. And so right now, it was almost worthless for the longest time, and then only in the past week or so we saw some value. So now on BITO, it's at 319 versus the 180 I got for it. So it's up 76% open P&L. I took a similar trade on Ethereum, but that's not as well. It's not performing as well. It's at 238, same price, $1.80 for that spread. But yeah, I've been very heavy long on crypto.
Yeah, it's obviously been the best spot to be in the last few weeks. The question for Bitcoin for me is last week during the weekend, we saw a continuation because I mentioned this earlier, but Bitcoin, of course, trades 24/7. And last Sunday, you had a big burst of energy over the weekend. And I'm wondering if we get something similar this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if we close above the highs or above an all-time closing high. That could lead to just sort of a continued drift. For me right now, I've got a stop loss on it, so I'm just saying if it breaks this level, I'm just going to get out. But it's incredibly volatile. It could come tag me out and keep going. But this is just my rules for the trade I'm managing. But I like the calls you've got. That's an incredible risk to reward trade that you've got going for now. So we'll see where these things want to go.
It was kind of the only reason why I took it, because it was cheap. For a large spread like that. If you took that on the S&P, you'd probably pay like 7 or 8 out of the $10 move. This was $1.80 out of a $10 or $9 move, so it seemed like a good deal, especially for all the way out to March expiration. So I thought I would take that. Also, I wanted to get into crypto while no one else wanted it. Now everyone's talking about buying crypto, buying Doge again.
Yeah, you really did with the BITO. You were talking about that when we were just seeing this grindy. If we take a look at a Bitcoin chart here for a second, you can see during this period of time this year, Bitcoin was so boring. I actually think this is crazy. So two of the guys that come on the show every week, Miko and Marco, every single week, we would look at Bitcoin together because all of us just were interested in it. It was part of our routine. And for months upon months upon months, every single week, we just say, well, it's got to break this channel. It's got to break this channel. It's got to break this channel. And it finally broke that channel. And it just goes to show it was getting so boring to talk about on the stream. And maybe that's the key. Just like how you got in when things were boring, right? From a longer term play perspective, I think that's sometimes the best thing if you're going to be longer term in nature, wait for something to get really boring or really not talked about, especially on the crypto world. And then your risk to reward becomes a lot better. I think your risk to reward buying crypto at these levels is much worse than if you buy it during a time when no one is interested in it. I feel like the risk to reward is so much better during
you
bear
buy when no one wants to buy it or even cares. I learned that lesson from Doge. And I did a similar thing. This is honestly not, I would not advise this, but because this is so cheap, I can own like several million shares of it, or coins, I guess. So I bought Shiba, and I know that if Bitcoin goes up, it can drag everything with it. So if it goes down, it takes everything down. If Bitcoin skyrockets, the smaller altcoins can see like 3 times the growth. So I've had Shiba for a long time. I've just been buying it up at these lower levels. I can pull up Coinbase, I guess, and find an average price that I'm in, but I think overall I'm up. I got an average price of 0.000016. So I guess from there, let's see, 0.0016.
Dang, that's actually amazing. So you're up like 40% currently.
It's about 40%, but I'm waiting for that dollar strike price. Which will happen. Just kidding. There's too many coins in circulation right now, but
yeah, we'll have to see. The crypto stuff is fascinating. I mean, I feel like your BTC is basically the same thing as SPY. So if you're watching for crypto world, like, so the Bitcoin is like the S&P. It's like the sort of stable overall idea name. And then you have individual stocks that can go way higher, way lower, etc. Just like Tesla, Amazon, Delta, all these different companies. So good stuff.
We got a little bit of a push lower. That's totally fine. I closed out a trade this morning on a SPY butterfly at 590. I posted that in the Pulver Alerts as an update. Trade cost me 33 cents. Got out of it for $1.05, $6, $7. Right now it's trading for like 75 because we've moved a little bit lower. Very time sensitive, but that is a 218% return on capital. Overall for the week, pretty decent on the income trades. I had SPY 595 put. That's obviously way profitable if you're still in the trade. Otherwise, I closed it out for a winner. I had one that was 118% return on capital. 2 of them that I combined for a 28% return on capital, 100% return on capital, 150% return on capital. So yeah, it's been pretty decent. 6 of 8 on just SPY trades this week. I did take a couple losses. I lost on a Q trade. QQQ was a call fly. Took a small loss there. I think it cost me like 30 cents. And then today the Qs I'm going to lose about 60 cents. But contract-wise, that's chump change compared to the winners that we've had. So good stuff there. Also snuck a few bucks out of the SPX this morning. I'm debating on putting on another trade in the SPY. We're down over 2% now from the all-time highs. We do have a couple gaps we should be mindful of, so we did fill this gap right here. And I'm going to switch this one over. Now we have that potential gap fill. And let's go. Well, that gap technically gets filled, so I'll move it out to there. All right. So we're just going to see how price is going to dance around in these gaps. If we go to the higher time frame, we're pulling back towards the 21 period. I would look at this. If we go 21 period, let me change the color. If we go 21 period and we kind of fill the election, then I will likely use this as a spot to, pick up a bit of a discount. If we go lower, this is what Nick and I talked about yesterday. It's like, look, I could see this market still being really well supported, but making it harder and harder to go significantly higher. And we just have more of this. Pull back here, higher high, pull back here, higher high, pull back here. Something where this market is still making higher highs, but it's coming with a little bit more volatility and choppiness and some pullbacks. And if we want to get a lot more exciting, then we can obviously pull back way deeper and still slingshot up to test those highs. And then it just gets a little wild and crazy if we have like let's say 5 to 10% swings, that's going to make, investors' head spin. Okay. Is trading halted on ES futures? It shouldn't be. 9:30 candle. That was just a really simple breakout trade, wasn't it today? Just a nice, simple breakout candle right there. And NQ, same thing. A little bit more noise in the NQ, but candle breakout. So I don't see any halted. I see it's still there. But we really didn't have any directional movement away from this weekly VWAP. It was really choppy all the way to it, down, back to it, down, back to it. And then finally, it wasn't even yesterday. I mean, yesterday was a little bit more directional, late in the day, but it was like poke the low, pull back, poke the low, pull back, poke the low again, pull back, poke the low again. And then today, of course, it's like we gap lower, have some additional flow. It just kept, hammering that floor all day yesterday. And then, overnight, the futures market actually ran with this. And then this morning, even more so. So I am staying out of it for right now, just kind of embracing that we've got some discounts. I took a small loss this week on Baidu. Even though they had good earnings, I got my broker to close me out at my long put level. So I just ended up taking a small loss here. So this is a 245 loss. And let me see here. JD is up 2.7% on the day. Again, the earnings were yesterday. We're up there. We're down to like the 618. I do have a covered call at $40 on this one. Let me go to Pfizer. Pfizer, you freaking turd. What is wrong with this stock, dude? Lowest close since January 2013. It's like, yeah, I know. I am hoping, let me use a different workspace here. I'm hoping Pfizer is some type of bear trap because this stock is driving me crazy. Now my break even is basically $25. I have this out until January. I'm trying to get this thing called away at 27. Euro dollar currently stuck. Okay. When I hear people say they're stuck, that means you're probably trading too big. Look at the dollar index. I said don't call the freaking top on the dollar index, and you're probably calling bottoms on the euro dollar. So the euro dollar, it's not ready to turn yet, man. I mean, this thing's been a falling knife since that election candle. So all I'm looking for, and this would be, if I'm in the euro dollar, this is what I'm doing. Right here, there's a bunch of support. Okay. Now there are ways that I will just buy small and just say, okay, I'm in at 106. Okay. And I'm in at 105 and I'll wait and I'll kind of test that level. Now, if price responds to that level and gets me, back to break even on trade one and a winner on trade two, I'll just close out for a win. Okay. But when you look at this thing, I mean, have we really had anything to turn this up? If you look at this on a 1 hour time frame, have we done anything to show this is a buy zone? Not yet. Not at all. So I would be looking at a smaller time frame. Do we come back into equal lows? Do we kind of consolidate in here? Is there some type of falling wedge or some bear trap type move, and then we can squeeze the opposite way? I mean, you're going to get some confirmation. I would look for confirmation before you're just going nuts on some of these dollar pairs. Look, the dollar's clearly moving. And that path of least resistance right now is bullish. And to not make it feel worse, but I'm going to make it feel worse, what time is it right now? It's November 15th. How many tops and bottoms do we see in the Forex market in November and December? Hardly any. January is more likely a topping month, and then it's going to be like August. So seasonality-wise, what's in orbit is probably going to stay in orbit, and I'm sorry to say, but unless this dollar turns like right now and gives us an aggressive reversal candle, I think this dollar index is coming up to this liquidity level. And to me, this is a big pocket from 108 to 109.50. I don't see the dollar stopping much. Other than pausing, I think it's going to get there. And this is a big old rinse and repeat where we have all these big liquidity grabs by the USD, by the greenback, until it's satisfied, and then it can start to top out, just like it did here, just like it did here. you know, and then it can start to fade. But it's going to take time, and I'm not calling tops and bottoms in November, December. You know? So I'm just saying, man, be careful. Don't trade too big. If you're gonna trade an area, I mean, have a plan. Right? Please have a plan.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.